Welcome back to the Hot Girls Learn Hockey podcast. If you forgot already, my name is Sarah, and I am your host of this little show where we talk about all things hockey. Sorry, I just spilled my drink on my blanket. Anyway, hi. This is the show where we learn about all things hockey, how it's played, the ins and outs of it, everything fun in between. We player profiles, team profiles, you name it. We haven't done it yet, but we're going to. This is only the second episode. Please bear with me. So I am very excited because today, February 11th, 2025, I uploaded the very first episode, which is really exciting. It's crazy. It's crazy thinking that something that you work so hard on is out in the world now, and it's open to people seeing it, critiquing it, loving it, hating it, but having their own thoughts and opinions on it, which is perfectly fine. I'm very happy with how it came out and I just hope that it teaches someone something, also, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're noticing that the setup looks a little bit different, I'm testing out the different kind of backgrounds ish. It's the same background. I'm just testing out how much I want to show. So for the benefit of audio listeners, I'm just showing a little bit more of the bookcase that's next to me, and I'm showing a little bit more of this neon sign that I have here. And I have the neon sign turned on, which you can kind of see. You can see the string of it, or the cord of it in my first episode, but I didn't have it turned on because I didn't have it shown, at all in the frame. And even now, right now, I just have it shown only a little bit. But let me know what you think. It's going to be a lot of trial and error these upcoming episodes, just figuring out, what works and what doesn't, what people like, what people don't like, what I like, what I don't like. I'm also trying filming front facing. We'll see how this turns out. It's not going to really matter to my audio listeners, but to the people who are watching on YouTube, if I seem like I'm just veering off to the, I guess, my right, your left, or I guess my right, your right, I don't know how frames and cameras work. If it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, it's just because I'm looking at myself, and I'm really gonna try very hard not to, but we'll see how this turns out. Like I said, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 2. Episode 1, we went over kind of the basics of hockey, how a game works, how long it is. If you watched the first episode or listened to it, you already know. So this one is going to be all about the different penalties that are in, the game of hockey. And, every sport has their own penalties. Players get benched, players get thrown out of the game, so on and so forth. Hockey is fun in the sense that there is what I mentioned in my last video, there's a penalty box, which is a little box on the rink. Oh, it's to the side of the rink, and it has a little bench, and it's it's 4 plexiglass walls covering it, and it's where the naughty players go when they've done something bad, when they've done no. And it's very fun. It sucks when your team has 2 or more players, or 1 or more players in them, because then you're okay, well, now the other team has power play. But when the opposing team playing your team is in it, it's fun to watch. It's especially fun to watch, I think I said in my last episode, watching players, if they get into a fight on the ice and then they go into the penalty box and they are still fighting, they're just yelling at each other. It's hilarious. So that's gonna be today's episode, is focusing on different, or the most common hockey penalties. Again, if you're watching and you see me looking down, I'm just looking at the notes on my iPad that I have written, just kind of help me keep my thoughts in order, because I get scatterbrained, as you will come to realize. So this just kind of helps me make sense. You know. So let's talk about what kind of hockey penalties there are. So a very first important reminder, goalies will never go into the penalty box. That is not to say that goalies do not commit penalties. I will explain. So a goalkeeper never goes into the penalty box. If a goalie receives a penalty, then another player who was on the ice at the time of the offense must serve it for them. And there are certain exceptions, that can be made. It's mostly like if a goalie does something to warrant them being suspended from the game, and then they can't goalkeep anymore. In that case, then the player, the goalie must leave the ice, and then a substitute goalkeeper is put in. They always have like 2 or 3 subs on kind of standby, especially if they're noticing that their starting lineup goalkeeper is kind of just letting shots in. They're really not. They definitely ain't getting a shutout. Shutout means that a goalie has not let one single shot go in, which would result in a 0 score. So if they see that their goalkeeper is they're just not having it that day, and they're just not it for the game, then that's another reason why they'll put in one of the substitute goalkeepers. But also for one of these cases, if they get a penalty that requires them to be ejected from the game. That is a very important thing I want to put out there, because I have a feeling I would have gotten a couple of comments or messages saying, well, why are all these penalties towards our forwards and our defense? It's because of that, guys. I don't know what to tell you. I don't make the rules. I just poorly explain them. And that's all I can do. I'm just a girl who yaps about hockey. So let's get into the nitty gritty of the different kinds of penalties. First, I'll do the different kinds of groups of penalties, and then go in all the specifics and details of each individual penalty action. It's like boarding, high sticking, hooking, etc. First of all, we have another drink today. I mixed together a mango hard seltzer, not branded, no brand, with some vitamin C juice. It's the brand of that starts with a P and ends with a D. It's really good, really yummy. I had a whole cup of it earlier, and then I was like, you know what? I want to film today. I kind of want to, do a little bit of a fun drink if I'm going to film. So if you want to grab a drink, grab a snack, let's just chill. If you're in the car, don't grab anything. Please put both hands on the wheel, and let's get into all these penalties, guys. Cheers. I'm going to take a sip. If you don't like the sound of drinking, I'm sorry. Also, side note, I'm losing daylight. So if there's an abrupt change in audio, halfway through this, it's because I'm going to turn on my ring light, because I'm filming this at 5:30 and I still have daylight, but it's not as much as I would want there to be. Okay. I'm going to put my drink down. Oh shit. I'm so sorry. I knocked into the arm last episode too. I probably will knock into the arm a couple times. Okay. I don't know what that noise was. Let's get into the different groups of penalties. So we first got, I'm gonna start from the lower kind of small fish to the big fish. So we have our minor penalties. Oh my gosh, can you speak, Sarah? Obviously you can't. Minor penalties. It's they're penalties that are, you only spend about 2 minutes into the penalty box for them. And examples of these penalties include interfering with the goalie, high sticking, or tripping. Small stuff, not like hugely big things that are gonna like completely ruin your hockey career. It's a punishment for a minor offense. And there's really nothing else to kind of go off of that. It's, the bare minimum for penalties. Next one up is going to be a bench minor. So a bench minor is also 2 minutes into the penalty books. And some offenses or some example offenses are delay of game or having too many men on the ice. Too many players on the ice, okay? I need to work on that. I'm sorry, guys. It is a penalty that's not directed at a single player. So no single player is going to be singled out. So I guess they're not technically spending 2 minutes in a penalty box. It's because it's a penalty against the entire team. So no specific player is penalized. And I'm speaking way ahead of myself. I'm like looking at my notes. I'm like, it's not against one specific player, it's against the team, but there will be somebody in the penalty box. So correction on myself. Somebody will be in the penalty box. It just isn't one specific player because the penalty is not towards one player. It is towards the whole team, but they will designate a player to spend time into the box. Get it? Got it. Good. I'm glad we clarified that. I'm glad I clarified that for myself. I don't know what I was thinking when I was making these notes. Okay. Next group is going to be the major penalties. Now, guys, we're getting a little bit more serious here. This is upping to 5 minutes in the penalty box. These example offenses include boarding, charging, and cross-checking. Not like the worst things, but you don't want to do them. Because you don't want the thing is with all these penalties, you don't want to do them. In most cases, they just happen. Like unless you're purposefully tripping somebody or purposefully body checking them, like it's like to the point where it becomes a penalty. You're not doing them on purpose. So again, 5 minutes in the penalty box. Boarding, charging, cross-checking are some of the examples. It's one of the things where goalies are excluded from this penalty. And the thing is that so the team with the penalty is down a man for 5 minutes. And then that leaves a power play for the other team. We know this from the last episode when I explained what a power play was. However, after the 5 minutes, he will return that to the ice. But the penalty will remain in effect even if the opposing team scores a goal. As opposed to, and I don't know if I said this in the bench minor one, but in the bench minor one, the penalty is cut short if the opposing team does score a goal. So the penalty is cut short for a bench minor penalty is cut short if the opposing team scores a goal. But for a major penalty, the penalty will remain in effect even if the opposing team scores a goal. Got it? Good. Wow, my notes are all over the place. Sorry, guys. This is supposed to make me more organized. Doubt it. So hopefully this makes sense. Okay. That is what else is very important for a major penalty. Let's see. Also, if the player commits 2 major penalties in the game, then the player may be subject to suspension and ejection from the game. Again, it's going to depend on the referees and what they decide to do because they're the game masters in this. We kind of it's their world and we're living in it. Off topic, I really want to dress up as a ref for a game one time or like one of these games that I go to. I just think it'd be really funny just to like show up and I'm not repping any team. I'm repping the ref, baby. I just think that'd be so funny. Whoa, abrupt audio cut. I told you guys that one was going to happen. It's because the sun went down a little too fast. And so I just put on my ring light. But, they'll only really affect visually, the people watching. And then I'm sorry if it's a big cut. audio wise for my my audio listeners. Sorry, but I want to look nice. All right, so we just went over major penalties, and let's go over a misconduct penalty. Now, these next two that I'm gonna talk about. One of them is a misconduct penalty, and then a gross misconduct penalty. They are both groups of offenses, but the difference is that when I talk about a gross misconduct penalty in a little bit, the NHL does not use gross misconduct penalties. That is the reason why they replaced it with just misconduct penalties. Don't ask me why they did it. I couldn't be bothered to look that up. If you really want to know, you can look it up. So a misconduct penalty is upping it we went from 2 to 5, and now we're at 10. So it's 10 minutes in the penalty box, and some examples include abuse of officials and unsportsmanlike conduct. Basically being a yucky person, a yucky player. Then they're being bad. And not in the fun way. They're being bad in like the, being mean to the refs or being mean to, like, I don't know. They're just not being good people on the ice, at least. I don't know their character. And the thing is that with these guys, the player can be replaced immediately by another player. Then there is no man advantage for the team. Also, for certain offenses, so checking to the head, checking from behind, I'd say pretty much like and like checking them purposefully for like any reason, any part of the body. Referees will usually impose a minor penalty in addition to the misconduct penalty. So they get two. They get 2 for the price of 1. And then an extra player must send in the penalty box for the minor penalty, while the original offender must remain on the bench for 10 minutes. So what that would mean was if the refs decide to put a major or misconduct plus a minor penalty on a player, the player who does the main offense or the actual offense, they will sit the full 10 minutes in the penalty box. But the extra player, whatever player they designate to do this, they will sit only for the 2 minutes for a minor penalty. So 10 minutes for one player, 2 minutes for the other. But again, that just depends on if the ref decides to tack on a minor penalty, for those specific, instances. And that is pretty much all for a misconduct penalty. Also, if a player does receive 2 misconduct penalties in a game, then they're ejected. They're said, you're out of here. You're out of here, bud. You had 2 shots and you blew it. And bye-bye. Now, let's go into a gross misconduct penalty. Again, NHL does not have gross misconduct penalties. They just have misconduct penalties. Good God, take a shot every time I'm going to say misconduct. Actually, no, take a shot every time I'm going to say penalty. Oh my goodness, I would be blacked by the end of this episode. Please actually do not do that drinking game. As I take another sip of my drink. Teehee. Oh, excuse me. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't even know if you heard that. I did a little burp. Okay, so gross misconduct penalties. This changes the game, literally. Well, not literally. It just player if they get one of these, it's game ejection. They don't sit in the penalty box. It's just game ejection. And some of these include abuse of officials, spats with spectators, alcohol consumption before or during the game, verbal abuse, discrimination, etc., etc. I can understand why this is called gross misconduct, because it's just gross behavior. Like, what are you doing yelling at the fucking ref? What are you doing putting vodka in your water bottle and then squirting it in your mouth? By the way, it's very funny watching hockey players drink water because they just go, eh. That visual was crazy. If you're just listening to this, you're like, what did she just do? If you're watching this, I'm so sorry. I didn't think about that until okay, let's just move on. So the ghost misconduct. Ejected players were placed on the ice, and then there's no man advantage given, or no player advantage given, or team advantage, or whatever. The player's out. Plain and simple. But like I said, NHL does not do ghost misconduct penalties anymore. They just do the misconduct penalty. So we don't have to worry about that for any NHL games. However, it gets still implemented in certain leagues. You can see that if you watch, maybe like a game from another country's league or what have you, they'll have a ghost misconduct penalty call. And then you'll just see a player walk off the ice. Tee-hee. Continuing on with our misconduct penalties, what about a game misconduct? Let's go over that, shall we? This is also a game ejection. Not fun. Examples of these are throwing objects from the bench, fighting, leaving the penalty box prematurely. If you're in there for 10 minutes, you leave at like 7, you're like, I need to go back out there. You can't do that, bud. You can't do that. That's a game misconduct. And that's just another penalty that you're getting. So I don't know what you're doing. So also with game misconduct, a referee can call one of these if it's a particularly severe foul, which would cause injuries, which may cause injuries or does cause injuries. And, players got to leave the rink. There's no man advantage. Excuse me. And so now it's weird. So the player won't get immediately suspended, but the referee may suspend the player, if they choose. And then in a playoff setting, any player who receives a second game misconduct penalty then will automatically be banned from the next match. So don't want to get those guys. Don't want to get a game or just a regular misconduct penalty. Those are some big no-nos. And now we come to our last two, which I'll explain the more easier of the two first, because these guys are a little bit of a doozy trying to actually figure it out in my little peanut brain. So first one is a match penalty, and a match penalty is immediate ejection plus 5 minutes for a teammate. Let me explain. Okay? So this is for serious offenses such as attempted headbutting or kicking. Those are some examples of them. And how it works is a referee may impose a match penalty onto a player or a goalkeeper who is intentionally trying to injure or does intentionally injure another player. And then the player will be disqualified, not the player hurt, the player who does the offense will be disqualified for the rest of the game and then sent to the locker room or dressing room or whatever. So they're off. They're out. So if it was a goalie that did it, then they're just sending their substitute goalkeeper, and then that goalie is just out for the rest of the game. And then if a player did it, then they're just off, and then they replace the player on the ice. Plain and simple. Where it gets a little bit more complex, I guess you could say, is the plus 5 minutes for a teammate. So the player who does the offense, immediate ejection, and then the team will, the offending team will put a substitute player into the box for 5 minutes. And then after that, they may return to the ice. Like I said, it took me a little bit to realize, I was like, why does it say plus 5 minutes? That's weird. That's interesting. But, yeah. And now, the one that stressed me, because truth be told, I still don't really know what causes a penalty shot. if anyone could dumb this down in like terms that like a small Victorian child would understand, I would be greatly appreciated. Or that would be greatly appreciated. So, penalty shot. There's no duration of time spent in the penalty box. No one spends time in the penalty box for a penalty shot. A penalty shot happens after there's tripping or spearing while the opposing team has a breakaway. Now, this is where I get lost in the sauce, guys. And so now I'm going to just read an official definition, and then we'll try to break it down as simple as we can. So, the small bank penalty is imposed as a result of conduct that is detrimental to the game or for rule violations committed by players or team officials from the player's bank. Well, wasn't that a bunch of words? That was a lovely group of words, people. Now, the effect that it'll have on the game. So, penalty shot is awarded when a player in a breakaway is fouled. And oh my gosh, this is like, out of all these things, and you know what's so funny? Out of all these penalties, I've seen 2 penalty shots at games that I've watched. Not in person, but games I've watched on TV. One was like a game that Chicago played and Connor Bedard did the penalty shot, which they blocked. And then the other one was during a Penguin and Sharks game. The Penguins, somebody from the Penguins, did the penalty shot and got blocked. Sharks won that game, by the way. That was a really good game. That was on my birthday. But I digress. Okay, so those are some of the most common, they're not the most common. They are the common. They are the groups for penalties. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, guys, if I keep hitting my microphone arm. I just get very enthusiastic about hockey, as you can tell. I created a whole podcast about the damn sport. So now let's go over the different actual penalties, like the specific ones, like boarding or elbowing or tripping or high sticking or hooking. So I'm going to go again from the most simple to explain to the ones where really you would probably need a visual to explain it. Let's go over, let's see, who we want to go over first. I'm going to go down my little list. And then, what am I on? I'm on high sticking. So high sticking happens when a player raises any part of their stick higher than the crossbar of the goalpost or hits an opponent with any part of the stick. Kind of self-explanatory. It's in the name, you know. If they raise their stick higher above the bar of like a goalpost and, you know, they like raise it, and then they like hit another or hit another player or an opponent or whatever with the stick, then a high stick is called. And again, high stick penalty is going to be is it a minor? It's a minor penalty, so they'll only serve 2 minutes. You know, small potatoes. All right, which one do we want to talk about next? That one. Okay, hooking. Yeah. So to explain this, I need to explain just how a hockey stick, like what it looks like and how it's kind of designed. If you've ever seen a hockey stick before, you'll know it has like a long shaft. Jesus. It has like a long shaft like handle, and then it goes down and then it curves kind of up. Kind of looks like one half of a boomerang, if you've ever seen what a boomerang looks like. And then that part is what hits like the puck and it shoots it and everything. So it hooks around. is what I'm trying to say. Is it looks like kind of like a little like a little hook. Hopefully, if you're listening, if you're listening, I hope that you know what a hockey stick looks like, because I don't think that description does it justice at all. But hooking happens, like hooking the penalty happens, when a player uses the stick to push, pull, or move their opponent. The reason why it's called hooking is because you're kind of like hooking the player like a fish hook. How it can be used is, if they take their stick and then they kind of wrap it around the other player and pull him back while in gameplay, that would be called hooking. And you would know what hooking looks like. It would just be like get over here. Actually, kind of would probably remind me of like in Toy Story, how little Bo Peep like does has her little like stick and she like hooks Woody towards her. Although less sexy, and it's a hockey stick, and it's not little Bo Peep and Woody, it's two hockey players. Someone write a book about that. Someone write a Why Choose Romance MMF right now about hooking. No, I'm putting a petition out for that. Okay, and then that's hooking. That's two words. So what do we want to talk about next? Beep. Elbowing. Whack, whack. Elbows. So elbowing happens when a player uses their elbow to hit or check another player. I mean, you just don't elbow people. Don't elbow people in your normal day-to-day life, and then don't elbow people if you're a hockey player playing a game. Just don't do it. For the most part, the ones that I'm talking about, like, let's see. So, yeah, high sticking was a minor penalty. Most of them are going to be, I'm pretty sure all the ones that I've talked about so far are all minor penalties. They're just going to be your 2 minutes in the box. Okay, we just talked about elbowing. Let's do a couple more, shall we? Okay. Next one we're going to talk about, holding the stick. So holding the stick is when a player is holding or controlling the stick of the opponent with either hands, arms, legs, or body. This will result in that penalty being called. So basically, there's like two players that are all up on each other, and if one player just goes and grabs the other player's stick, hockey stick, you sickos. But also, if they grab their stick, I feel like that would also be a penalty. That'd probably be like a misconduct. But it's when they like grab onto their opponent's hockey stick, either with their hands or their arms or their legs. You just can't do that. You can't do that. And holding the stick is going to be I believe another minor penalty. It's either going to be a minor penalty. Yeah, I'd say minor penalty, honestly. It doesn't seem like something that would be worthy of 5 minutes in a penalty box. It seems it's giving 2-minute energy. It's giving 2-minute energy. That's so funny. I'm so funny. Okay, next one is going to be kind of like holding the stick, but we're going to take away the stick. It's just holding. So holding is called when a player uses their hands, arms, or legs, or skates, or stick to prevent an opponent from skating freely. Basically, it's like holding them back. You're holding me back, Dad. Don't know why I said that. But yeah, again, minor penalty, kind of self-explanatory. You can't hold a player back from skating freely. They have rights. They have rights to skate in the damn game. And if you infringe on them, you're going to go sit 2 minutes in the box. But I don't know what to tell you. I don't make the rules. I'm sorry. I'm just telling them to you. I'm sure I've already made that joke so far in the video. But it's a funny joke. Leave me alone. Next one is going to be boarding that we talk about. Now, boarding is when an offending player pushes, trips, or checks an opposing player violently into the boards of the rink. Body checking is just kind of it's a part of the game. If you're ever watching a hockey game, you'll see that they do, check into the board. For the most part, it looks like it's hard. And it is. It can be a really hard body check, but it's just, it's like just trying to get access to the puck, pretty much. But when it steps into the realm of boarding, it's just like, violent. It's like if you were on the ice, you'd hear some shit crack. You'd hear some shit crack doing that, bet. My guy. Huh. Or, pushing, tripping, or whatever, or checking. Even though checking and tripping are their own penalties, this just kind of goes into it with boarding. Boarding's like kind of, it's like more violent. It's just very violent. And that is either going to be a minor, a major, or a match penalty. It depends on the severity of it. I went over all those guys earlier, so if you don't remember the times, minor 2 minutes, major 5, and then match penalty is the whole stupid fucking thing that I talked about with the immediate ejection and the 5 minutes of player. Didn't like that. Now let's see. We only have a couple more left to go over. So stay with me, guys. Stay with me. You staying? Thank you. Thanks for not leaving me. Let's go into a little bit of a in-depth look at abuse of officials. I'm going to have to take a big sip and lean back for this one, because boy, is it something. It's a lot, because it depends, like the different examples of what it would be called for is different between like a minor penalty and like a game misconduct and a match penalty. So let's sit back and relax while I go over this. Taking another big sip just to wet my whistle, and then I'm gonna for audio listeners, if you hear shuffling, I'm just moving back because my legs are also cramping up. If you don't know, I'm like sitting on a kind of a couch chair. It's not like an armchair. It's like a swivel little chair. Let's see. I hope that's good. I'm trying also not to make it so that the mic is like completely covering my face. Oh my god, excuse me. Sorry. Maybe a seltzer is a bad idea because it does make me burp a little bit. Anyway. Abuse of officials. Its official description is when a player physically confronts or openly questions a referee's authority. Now, we've seen players kind of go back and forth, yap with refs, being like, "Are you gonna call that other guy? Look at that other guy." And it's all fun and games until it's not, and then when it's not, it's considered an abuse. So for a minor penalty, it'll be anywhere from using it'll be like using your stick to strike against the glass in order to protest or insult the referee's decision. Also, if the team or a player or official insults a referee, or like a punished player refuses to sit in the penalty box, or they physically protest the referee's ruling, it's it's just not the worst, but they're just being, I really have to stop hitting my mic arm. They're just being a little bit of dicks towards the refs. Now, for game misconduct, It's the use of offensive language or obscene behavior after a minor penalty has been imposed. And then disrespectful or violent behavior towards a referee by a player, team, or team official. Throwing an object at a referee or spraying the referee with water. Guys. I know that you're probably not happy with the penalty that you got. I'm sorry. The ref is literally doing their job. Their job is to make sure that the game is being played correctly and safely. And if it's not, well, that's why they're there. Don't be throwing shit at the ref. Don't be spraying water at them. Be nice. I know that you're mad, but like just chirp at them from like a distance. Be like, oh, that fucking guy. Don't throw shit at them. Don't beat me. Be nicer to your refs. PSA, be nice to your refs. And be nice to your refs and hug your goalies. Give them the little head pats and give them a big hug. Maybe a kiss on the lips if they have a shut up. I'm losing the plot. Holy shit. Okay. Let's keep going with the abusive officials. Be nice to your goalie, please. And also be nice to your ref. Or your officials, whatever. So, some extra things to go with this. If obscene language or behavior occurs on or off the ice after the match, then the referee may impose a suspension. I feel that would really happen if it's like a player who's just really not having it. They're just like, I am so mad and I'm going to keep chirping. I'm going to throw my water bottle. I'm going to squirt my water bottle at you. Squirt's a gross word. But you know what I mean? Like that, I feel like that would be, grounds for suspension from the game. Okay, a disciplinary penalty. So a player requests or uses video footage to challenge a referee's verdict, intentionally pushes the puck away from the ref. A player comes too close to the referee. A co-captain or captain complains to the referee about a conduct and verdicts of another referee, or an already penalized player does not immediately go to the penalty box. Those are also things that contribute to abuse of officials. A lot of these are going to depend on the severity for how much time is going to be in the books, or if it's going to be a game ejection or suspension. I'd say, final verdict. Be nice to your refs. I mean, it is fun to be a spectator and just kind of say funny things about the refs. Like, I don't know. I've never said these things, but there's like one thing that I really want to say one time if I know that a ref's being especially, targeted. I want to say, hey ref, does your wife know that she's screwing us? Isn't that good? It's not mine. I got it from a book. It was a really weird book too. This guy, oh my gosh, Ari Lancaster. If you know, you know. Plays for the Dallas Knights. Not a real NHL team. Not a real team. Fake team. There's the Dallas Stars. And there's the Vegas Golden Knights. But there's no Dallas Knights. This is literally a character in a book. So, yeah. Just be nice to your officials. Be nice to your refs, guys, girls, players. Be nice to them. Alright. Let's go on to headbutting. A more playful one, I guess. Although it can also end in a not playful way, or if, it's really severe. So headbutting is when a player uses their head or attempts to use their head to hit their opponent. It is ejection. You are out. You cannot do that. You need your head, people. And hockey players already get so many injuries and stuff, especially to their legs and everything, and their feet, ankles, whatever. You don't want to hurt their head. It can really mess up somebody. Getting a TBI is not fun. Not saying that, just a normal headbutt would result in a TBI, but you never know, it could. And I feel like you don't want to test that. So don't headbutt either. Don't do any of these things. Tripping is tripping. Don't trip. Don't trip, chocolate chip. And also don't trip your opponents. Don't trip people on the ice. It's not fun. Especially in skates. That shit would hurt. Especially if you got sliced by a blade, wouldn't you? And then it kind of backfires on you. So, headbutt. Oh, and the tripping is going to be just like a minor penalty. It's not going to be anything super, harsh, to say, for lack of a better word. All right, let's go. We think we only have 1, 2, 3. We only have 3 more to go over, guys. We're almost done. Actually, no. 3, 4, 5, 6. I lied. We have 6 or 7. You know what? That's great. With just more time with each other. There's just way more time with each other. Let's go into cross-checking. So cross-checking is where it's a check where the attacking players use their stick to physically check the opponent. It's using your stick to check the opponent. If you know what checking is, pretty much is just using force against the player. And that's going to be a minor penalty. It's going to be 2 minutes in the box. There's also roughing. Roughing is called when 2 players are in a minor altercation. This is where we get into hockey fights, boys. Man, do I love a good fight. Ho. I love a good fight. You will never hear me complain about a fight unless it hurts one of my favorite players. If I ever saw Connor Bedard get his shit rocked and it hurts him, then I would not be laughing. But if he got into a little scuffle, which I'm sure he has, this is so much fun. Oh my gosh. That's another thing that is a big thing that people know with hockey is they know ice skate, they know goal, and they know fights. They know fighting. They know that it's a big part of the game. Not a big part, but it's the most popular part. There are so many compilations of just the best fights on YouTube. I got a fight at my very first hockey game. It was the Sharks versus Colorado Avalanche, and could not remember off the top of my head which Avalanche player it was, but I know it was Henry Thrun from the Sharks who got it was gloves off fist fight. I don't know what happened, but it was just so good. And Henry thought he was my favorite player at the time. I think it was my first game, and I was like, oh, he looks cute. I like him. And then I got to know William Eklund and Will Smith and Cody Cece's not on the team anymore, but then I got to know Cody Cece and everything, and I was like, oh, Sharks got some talent off the ice. Hey. Wow, that was crazy to say. But so roughing is a minor altercation between 2 players or more, whatever. And the punishment depends on the severity of the offense. If it's just a quick little 1, 2 pop, and the refs break it up, then it's just a minor penalty, and then they go to the what's it called? Penalty box. Why did I forget the word to that? Oh my gosh. And also, but it can lead to a double minor or a major or a misconduct. It just kind of depends on, like I said, the severity of it. Striking the opponent's head is going to be a minor penalty, though. Do not hit the head. Like I said, don't hit the head. Also, if you ever are watching a hockey game, any league, refs will not break it up immediately, but if they hit the ice, if they go horizontal, if they're vertical 1 minute, horizontal the next, that is when immediate breaking up of the fight will happen, because we do not want those blades, those very sharp ice skates, slicing someone's throat. There are also compilation videos of that happening. It is not fun. Wear your neck guards. Wear your neck guards, guys and girls. Any hockey players, wear your neck guards. Mouth guards, but neck guards. Do you hear me? Neck guards. All right. And that's roughing. Next, we have charging. Charging is the action of a player or a goalie who, as a result of distance traveled, shall violently check an opponent in any manner. Fairly easy to see if they're like physically like skating and charging directly towards like a player or a goalie, and they violently check them in any manner. It's going to be a penalty. It's going to be charging. It depends on the severity for what or how long exactly they're going to be in the box for. But if the player negligently endangers their opponent, then the referee may impose a major or misconduct or a match penalty. Yikes. Not good. Not good. Now let's go into unsportsmanlike conduct. Hoy. This is going to be another like the abuse of officials where there's a lot of detail, definitions, offenses, blah, 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 blah. But for the most part, I feel like you would know what unsportsmanlike conduct is. It's when a player or an official violates the rules of sportsmanship, which are fair play and respect, or play fair and respect, whatever. Be respectful on the ice. Be respectful in the game, any game. So it refers primarily to clearly identifiable players. So when offensive language or behavior is used towards teammates, opponents, or spectators, cheers for fouls or injuries, like break his arm or whatever. Don't yell that. Please don't yell that. Or spraying ice on the opposing goalkeeper when breaking. If it's hard to explain this, if they like stop really harsh on the ice, it'll spray ice. Or if they're spraying ice on the goalie, don't do that. Be nice to your goalies. That's also another thing that you'll hear a lot of hockey players say is don't touch the goalies. You don't touch the goalies. You touch the goalie, you're getting your shit rocked, brother. You're getting your shit rocked, okay? Don't do it. We also have the bench minor ones, which is, it refers to unidentifiable players. Oh, did I even mention, the last thing I just said refers to minor penalty, punishment, or whatever. This is for bench minor. Bench minor refers to unidentifiable players or the entire team, so it's not a clearly identifiable one. It's for when a team member or official behaves in an unsportsmanlike manner and uses obscene or abusive language or conduct, celebrates fouls or injuries, like I said, and throws a stick or other object at the ice to protest. They're throwing a water bottle onto the ice? No. You're throwing your helmet onto the ice? No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Bad. We've also got now misconduct. It's so that a misconduct penalty is imposed when a player shoots the puck after a whistle from the referee in apparent misconduct, or if a player continues to misbehave, when a player instigates an opponent to commit a foul, or when a player intentionally enters the bench area of the opposing team. Can't do that. You can't do that. You can't go to the bench area intentionally of the other team. You can't do that on purpose, guys. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Stupid. For game misconduct, it's pronounced if a player or official does not cease misconduct, such as the use of obscene offensive language, even after a minor penalty or a bench sentence. And then when we get to match penalty, those are imposed when a player or an official uses racist, sexist, or threatening language, spits or wipes blood on someone, usage of obscene gestures or conduct towards people on the ice, in the bank, or in the spectator area before. Yucky! Don't be racist. Don't be sexist. Don't threaten people. Don't commit biological warfare by spitting or smearing your blood, you animal. Oh my gosh. Never seen this happen. Hope I never see it happen. Oh my goodness. If I was a ref in that game and I heard that, you're out. You're out, brother. No, not on my ice. Not on my ice. I guess that's why I'm not a ref. Also because I'm still learning about hockey. Also because I can't ice skate. That's a fun fact about me. I can't ice skate. Definitely not as well as a hockey player. That's for damn sure. Now, we're up to our last couple of ones, so I'm going to go through them just really quickly, just kind of wrap up this episode. Checking to the head and neck. This penalty is called when a player checks another player in the head or neck area or pushes the head into the glass or boards, and then the punishment is depending on the severity of it. The referee may call a minor, major, or a misconduct, or a game misconduct, or a match penalty. The thing you'll see with all these is it really just depends on the severity of it, because obviously they're not meaning to do this most of the time, or they are meaning to do this some of the time. Next one we're gonna, I think second to last? I think second to last one. Oh no, we have 3 more. So we have interference, which occurs when a player blocks an opponent or prevents him from skating, passing, or moving freely on the ice without possession of the puck. It's a 2-minute minor penalty. And, you can't, you can you can try to steal the puck from a player, you can block a player, whatever, when they have the puck. If they don't have the puck, you can't prevent them from skating forward. That's the whole point of the game. Guys are all supposed to be skating freely. Don't do that. We've also got checking from behind. Checking from behind means that a player checks another player. Remember when I said about checking? It's think of body checking. So it checks another player who is not aware or unable to defend themselves from the coming impact as their back is turned. Literally just means checking from behind. One player literally doesn't even know what's going on, and they're getting checked from behind. Their back is getting rocked. Not good. And now our very last one is going to be when there are too many men. So too many men is, how do I describe this? So I told you about in last episode how a team may only have 6 skaters on the ice. The goalie, their right wing, left wing, center, and then right defenseman and left defenseman. And then as soon as a team has 7 or more skaters on the ice during gameplay, a penalty is called for having too many men on the ice. It really should say too many players on the ice, because not every league is men. PWHL is calling. She wants her flowers, guys. And then a player may only enter the game if the player leaving the ice is 5 feet or less away from their own bench. So remember, I told you in the last episode how with hockey, it's the only professional sport where player swaps are happening while the game is going. The players that are leaving the bench to go onto the ice, they can only hop on the ice when the players coming off are 5 feet or less away from the bench. They have to be really close to the bench, or else it's going to be they're going to get a penalty called for having too many people on the ice. Kind of self-explanatory. And that's also going to be a 2-minute minor. Man. Sports are fun, but they have rules for reasons. Rules are to keep people safe. Rules are to make sure that the game is being played fair and square, even if you don't like a rule, even if you don't like a ref call. If we didn't have rules, I don't know what would happen. Everyone would just be yelling at each other, and that just wouldn't be fun. So, we're going to end the penalty episode here. I've been yapping for a good amount of time. This episode might be slightly shorter than the last one, just because it's focusing primarily on penalties, and I very well could have missed a penalty. I very well could have said ones that you didn't know about. But you know what? That's just how I framed this episode, baby. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the first episode if you watched it. I've yet to look at the numbers and the comments and everything for how if people like the first episode so far. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I just uploaded it today. But regardless, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of myself for getting out there and putting something out that I'm very passionate about. And I'm just so excited to keep filming more episodes. Like I was so excited to sit down and film today. You have no idea. And yeah, I think that's all that I have to say today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Hot Girls Learn Hockey. Same name on Spotify, Hot Girls Learn Hockey. Please like the podcast if you did like it. I don't have comments on for the Spotify podcast uploads, but I do have comments on for YouTube. So, give me any feedback. Again, this is only my second episode. And yeah, just thank you so much for yapping with me. Thanks for spending some time with me. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. All right. Bye, guys.